Hello everyone, my name is Walter Jackson and today we'll be working on your ILMEA Trombone Etude. The first thing you'll want to notice are these dotted eighth note rhythms within the entire excerpt. So, one dotted eighth note equals 3/16 notes. I'll demonstrate. Let's take a look at measure 2. I'll play it one more time, feel free to play along with me. Pay special attention to the dotted eighth note. Measure 2. Now, the second thing I notice are all of the accidentals, most of which are chromatic, meaning they're a half step apart. So, let's take the example in measure 5. You've got low D to high D to C sharp. So what that'll sound like is this. 1, 2, and. The half step, which is the C sharp, is just this close to your D. You'll want to watch out for that. And the whole etude. Now, the way to approach this is to take it measure by measure if need be, have a metronome on so you don't lose your tempo, and work on the measures the most that are giving you the most trouble. So, if the measure 2, the rhythm in measure 2 is giving me the most trouble, what I'll do is I'll put my metronome on and I'll play that one over and over again. Now, you don't have to spend your entire practice on one measure, but you'll want to play through it. My rule of thumb is 3 times. If I can nail it 3 times, I'm good to move on. So, I'll take a really slow tempo. That'll be my practice tempo. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So I'll take that tempo, I'll play it 3 times, nailing it, and then I'll move it up 1 click until I'm at the tempo that I would like to perform it at. I'll do that for whatever measure is giving me trouble. And then, if there's a measure and then another measure that is giving me trouble, I'll just take those 2 measures. So let's say it's measures 2 and 3. I'll practice it like this. 1, 2. Second time. 1, 2. Third time, to make sure I'm really nailing it. 1, 2. Measure 2 actually has another example of that chromatic term I spoke of earlier. You're going from your low B flat as far away as where you're going to have that low A natural in a second. The last way you'll want to approach this piece is making sure that your articulation is spot on. So if you notice, a lot of times when you have slurs, you'll want to play that excerpt or part in your music smoothly. We don't see any slurs in this, so that lets me know that I am most likely going to have a very separated or detached tonguing style. I'll play the first measure for you to demonstrate what I mean. 1, 2. Did you hear how I didn't slur, but I played it as if I was playing it for a king marching down an aisle. Very pompous, very royal, detached. You want separation, but you want to keep your air going as if you were playing it legato or if you were playing it very smoothly. The air stays the same, it's your tongue that's interrupting the airstream. Last point is you may see some notes that are a bit higher than you're used to seeing. For example, if you go 1, 2, 3 lines down, your second measure, you have a high E flat. Now, don't think you have to practice this all the time in context. The more you break it apart, the easier it's going to be to recognize some of these notes and where they fall. So one practice method for this is to play it an octave lower, so your low E flat, and then play it an octave higher, so you get the tuning. Remember, this one, the low E flat is going to be regular third, and your high E flat is going to be flat third, so it's going to be a little farther out. All right, so here's how to practice it. I'll start with my low E, and then I'll play my high one and try to tune it to the low E flat. I'll do that 2 to 3 times to make sure I'm hitting the note and tuning it. So that's how I make sure that I'm hitting the actual note. Now, if you do feel comfortable practicing in context, when you're shooting for a high note like that, start a measure before. This one in particular is really good for that because you're sitting on a C and then you have to leap to the high E flat. So, make sure you hit your C. Before you even count off, just make sure your lips are nice and your embouchure is nice and ready to hit the high C. So just play the C. Now, practice going from C to E flat out of context. Once you feel like you can do that 2 to 3 times and it's feeling easier, remember not to get tense in your embouchure. Now go for it in context. 1, 2. Remember to keep your air going. It's all one stream, and you want faster air to hit those higher notes. And don't be afraid to play the measure before or the context they're using to play it an octave lower for your tuning. Like so. Then go to your higher octave. The last practice tip for getting up to these high notes is to play the scale. This is a great example because this etude is in the key of E flat major. So I'll start on my low E flat and play the E flat major scale, like so. So, before I give you a run through of the etude, we're going to remember several things. We want to make sure we're playing with the right articulation. Remember, pompous, royal, detached tonguing. Instead of going through a field of flowers, think about playing for a king that's marching down an aisle. You want to remember to keep your tempo where it's comfortable for you. Don't think you have to play it too fast or too slow. Play it where you sound good. The last thing is your tuning. You have a lot of octave leaps in this etude, and you have some chromaticism in this etude. Those are the things that if you can play them in tune, the judges will be even more impressed. So, here's a full run through. Feel free to play along. Good luck, everyone.